if I had to restart from completely zero to go and build a seven-figure portfolio within 9 months, the way that I did at 20 years old, is the exact things that I would tell you. And this is something that I've thought about comprehensively. So I want you to understand that this video is going to be very comprehensive in regards to the information that we're going to be talking about. It is not going to be something where it's a bunch of visual examples. If you want more visual examples as to a reason why I'm qualified to speak about this, you go through all my past content. The other thing is that you have to be in a position where you take action upon this information, and ultimately it's just not going to be valuable to you, right? With regards to the first thing, you want to understand that there is a real cost of being in a position where you go and invest in real estate for the first time, simply due to the fact that it's all dependent on you as a person. If you make very good active income, the opportunity cost associated with investing in real estate has to make sense in the terms of time, energy, and money allocation because of how much money you're making actively. And the opportunity cost you may miss out on if you do not invest in real estate properly, especially on your first deal. With regards to the main people that are going to be in assistance of you, realtors, lenders, and all of the above, most of them are going to be in a position where they get compensated on the first leg of work, right? Unless they're an actual company that is going to be helping you from A to Z. Realtors, lenders, brokers, they get paid when the deal closes, and after that, they don't need to help you. And the reason why I say that is because if you're in a position where you're thinking that this person has your best interest overall, you have to think about your overall connection with that individual beyond the surface of actually the deal being closed. So that's something that I would tell myself first is, okay, let me apply this mentality so I could go and make sure that I'm in a position where I take that into consideration with my actions that follow. With regards to that, you have to think about your holding costs with regards to Section 8. The thing about Section 8 is it has a ton of holding costs that are sometimes equivalent or even more than the closing costs. And the holding costs are something that obviously you can filter in regards to getting a property that's more turnkey, but anything can happen. And you have to understand that. In regards to like closing costs, for example, they can be negotiated. Seller could cover some of them. But in regards to the holding costs, if you're not in a position where you filtered the property to buy something that doesn't have a ton of holding costs, you're going to be in a position where you ultimately get more extended timelines. So you have to think about the vacancy. You have to think, which is something that could be combated by the pre-leasing method. So that's one thing that I would tell myself is make sure you take into consideration the pre-leasing method, which essentially is marketing the property on the low on like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, all the above. Once you go and pass general inspection in regards to you thinking that the property is solid, you want to proceed or negotiations make sense. Back to what I'm saying, even if something's in a position where it's relatively turnkey, it's probably still going to have smoke detectors. The staircases are going to need a handrail, little things along those lines, which still takes time. Even if it's a very fast repair, still due to the fact that maybe the possibility the property manager that you vetted doesn't have the bandwidth to be in a position where they go and do that right in this moment, simply because they may have other jobs. So you have to factor all that in because while the mortgage is in a position where it still has a little bit of a grace period, you're still going to be responsible for that payment when it comes. Like the bank doesn't give a flying fuck about anything else besides you paying that payment. Nothing else does care about them. In the same time frame, you have to understand that in regards to the actual work getting done, with regards to the holding costs associated, which is making a past section inspection, having the tenant in there, all the above. It's not stuff that's necessarily your control, but it's your responsibility in regards to following up with the property manager about the marketing or ensuring that you go and sign documents when the tenant's lagging, simply so you can be in a position where you can capture their attention right there and there, so the document be turned around right to them again, and their caseworkers so they go and get it over to you ASAP. And alongside that, when I mentioned about you making good active income, there's deals in your business or opportunities in your business or your career that you're not being able to pursue because if you didn't factor this holding cost incorrectly, you're essentially wasting time and missing out on money simply due to the fact that your energy is being allocated in the wrong place. In regards to like a 125, 130, maybe 120 purchase price, you probably gonna have like $3,000 to $4,000 in holding costs, even if you're in a position where you did the pre-leasing and you already have a tenant lined up. Unless you work with us and we place a tenant for you and all the above, there's still going to be a holding cost associated. Gas bill, water bill, electric bill, all that shit. And in regards to you dealing with Section 8, you're in a position where there are also delays in regards to being in a situation where, there's stuff like the holidays, there's stuff like federal holidays. You're dealing with the federal government, so only working 5 days a week. Then at 3 p.m. on a Friday, the person's calling off. Walking out early, simply due to the fact that they don't give a fuck. All of those things are still going to affect your wallet. You have to factor all that shit in regards to calculating your overall cash on cash return. It may seem like I went off on a tangent in this regard, but it's very fucking important. Be very conservative in regards to the first deal, but don't be a penny pincher because nobody likes working with that shit. And once you get that reputation as a fucking pain in the ass to go and work with, of being a pain in the ass to work with, people are not gonna want to work with you, and people do not forget that shit. People do not want to work with penny pinchers. It's being conservative, respecting your bread, and wanting to keep as much in your pocket is understandable. But penny pinching is not what you want, and it's just gonna ruin relationships, all the above. So take all this into consideration. You want to document, you can DM me. But yeah, this is just me. This is a document reviewing everything that I spewed in regards to like a transcript. Build your team around people that are in positions where they want to go and achieve the exact same things that you do relative to the business that they are in. If they're in a position where they're a realtor or they're a property manager, they're a lender, do not get someone that's already on the top that has the Lambos, this, that, simply due to the fact that most of the time they're not going to have the same hunger as you starting out simply because they already have essentially made it, right? There's some individuals that have all this stuff and they're still very hungry, which is a good thing. But at the same time, you're going to be in a position where you run into a lot of people that are not like that. People that are still trying to go and enjoy themselves simply due to the fact they already built everything. But if you have these people that are, 8 out of 10s and they're hungry, it's a lot better than having a 10 out of 10 that's made it, but they're, not necessarily as hungry as you are anymore. What I've learned is that being in a position where you have that person that's still hungry is always going to be better than someone that is a 10 out of 10 because you guys are on the same mission alignment and you guys understand the urgency behind the actions that you are taking. You have to be in a position where the people align because one of the biggest things that is going to be a very big hinder of your success is if you don't have the right team around you, especially if you're in a position where you already bought the property, which is something that I had to deal with, and essentially building a team on the back end after the front end team didn't work, which is something that I recommend people to do in terms of having a deal that is purely about building the right team, like just having a deal purely to build the right team and understanding how people treat you when you don't have anything to provide to them or less of that when you're in the beginning, and also with regards to, like, if you're buying virtually, ensuring that these people are doing you right and all the above based on the connections you make and all the above. But you guys have to understand that in this business there are a lot of shady people, a lot of people are lazy, a lot of people are complacent, a lot of people just still try to live off the work that they did fucking 5 years ago. But everything is a matter of right now. Like, what is going on right now is the most important, and a lot of people are in positions where they still try to live off of the past. So make sure you are in a position where you take all of this in consideration with regards to the first deal purely being about just finding the right team. That is essentially it. In that regard, I can go on a whole different tangent about this, but you guys are obviously reading this at the same time, so it helps you out in that regard. Stabilizing your first deal before chasing the second. This is something that is extremely fucking crucial to individuals that have more responsibility than other individuals that are in positions where maybe they're still living at home the way that I was. I mean, I still am. Simply due to the fact that you have, a mortgage, you have a rent due, you have a car note, all the shit. And the reason why I say that is because you don't have that same risk tolerance. So for my example, I was scaling relatively fast, which I'm not necessarily mad that it turned out the way that it did, because I wouldn't have learned the lessons I had and been in a position that I am in. But I know what it feels like to be somewhat, over leveraged in regards to things being chaotic because you hadn't fully solidified that something was stable before going to the second one when you're in the beginning. As you continue to grow, you could go and understand the whole process and have the right team and then understand your numbers and things being conservative and your timelines. But if you're still in the beginning, solidify that fucking deal first. Simply due to the fact that you don't want to have a bad first operation simply due to your lack of preparation. And then you're in a position where you think real estate investing is not for you. When in reality, it was just the actions that you took. And it's so much better to just have all the lessons come from one deal as opposed to two, because that mortgage is something you're still due for. You're still responsible for. And I think that if I would have took that into consideration when I first started, I wouldn't have been as stressed out. But I don't think that it was necessarily a bad thing. I just wouldn't recommend it for most people, especially when they have more responsibilities. But also with things being delayed because of Section 8 and all the above, stabilization means like when it's fully cash flowing, because you could have someone that gets to the final stages of Section 8 tenant, that gets to the final stages of being placed, and they back out of the deal in regards to living in that unit. So you got to start the whole fucking process again. So you just missed out on 60, 90 days. Say you're knee deep in the second property, you're gonna have to backtrack to fix that shit. So you need to make sure that you have that shit stabilized. Do not expect people to give a fuck the same way that you give a fuck. And the reason why I say this is because for some reason, some professionals on paper, quote unquote professionals, are not going to act like professionals just because they're in a position where they're a licensed realtor, licensed broker, whatever the fuck, licensed general contractor, does not mean they're going to act like a professional. And do not expect people to be in a position where they go and care about your money as much as you do. In regards to, say, for example, like if you don't have a vetted contractor, and they're in a position where they're doing a Section 8 rehab on your property and the furnace isn't working, and they say, hey, we need to replace the whole furnace. But if you went and just looked at the fact that there's a filter wrong with it because you have that knowledge, you just save yourself fucking $4,000 simply due to the fact that it was really a fucking $200 fix, right? So those are all little things in that regard. In terms of like what rehab's getting done, fucking following up like maybe every Friday, asking for virtual walkthroughs and updates. And then for like realtors and stuff, making sure that they follow up in regards to your offer that got submitted on the property, your lenders in regards to updates on if the property is to be cleared to close. These are all things that are not going to be you like bugging, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to bug them. But if you don't bug them, things don't get done, or they don't get done to the fullest quality that they could be done at, or the best that they could be. And things fall through the cracks all the fucking time. So like it's like you're not micromanaging, but you're in a position where things get done because at the end of the day, everything's coming out of your pocket. If a deal falls through because someone was delayed, someone was lagging, and the seller's like, fuck this, I don't want to work with you anymore, and I want a mutual release. You still pay for that appraisal, you still pay for that inspection, you're probably not going to get your deposit back, that's all money coming out of your pocket, and it's like, what is a realtor going to tell you? Oh, well, because I guarantee none of them are going to go and give you the deposit back. I'll give you, like, come out of pocket to go and give you the deposit. Because you need to be in a position where you make it evident with your actions that you're not fucking playing around. And once you get that, people's actions follow. Because even if you're in a position where you have one property or two properties, or this is your first property you're gonna buy, having that set up from the stone protects your reputation and allows for everyone around you to act the same way in regards to taking you serious. Sometimes it'll be a position where some people try to act up. You just get rid of them, change them. Fire fast, hire fast. Some people are going to be in positions they don't like that, but at the end of the day, as a buyer, you're in control, because without you, seller doesn't sell the property, real estate agents don't get paid, property managers don't get paid, tenant doesn't get a property to live in, all of the above. So over time, your reputation continues to get strengthened, but it starts from the beginning. The other one, the last one I'm gonna talk about, because I can make a fucking 1,000,000-page document, but I want to see if you guys even rock with this whole idea in regards to the concept that I'm talking about. You are never going to know enough, and if you feel like you know enough, you need to get your head out of your ass. And the reason why I say that is because if you're in a position where you're trying to go and know, what's quote unquote enough, you're gonna be in a position where if you have no properties, you're just talking out of your ass. I could have bought it at 19 years old, but I ended up buying it at 20 years old just because I thought that I fucking needed to know more things. When in reality, all the things that I thought I needed to know were hypothetical pieces of information that didn't even appear in the fucking deal when I went and tried to do it. And that shit sucks. And the reason why I say that it sucks is because you'll never get the time and energy back, and you'll never be in a position where you can reverse time. I probably could have done it at 19, and I'm confident I probably could have. But what all I did, I wasted fucking time. Things are not going to get cheaper. The market is going to continue to fucking move in favors that are not of yours, because they're going to move in the favor of the billionaires and the people that are in positions that are already in the game. Opportunities are going to leave. The longer that you fucking wait, the more time you are wasting. Even if you go under contract on a deal and you back out, you are ahead of 99% of people that do not take any action, and you have more real world experience and knowledge than them. And readiness is a decision. It is not a matter of being a feeling in your mind, a feeling in your heart, a feeling in your gut. It is purely a decision. And I also understand that they may feel like, oh, I don't have enough money, or I don't know my credit at. If you speak to the right people, they will find a way. That is the bottom line. If you think, oh, I only have 10K saved, but you're a veteran, you didn't even know that you have your VA loan. If you have, oh, I have 10K saved, but I live in Bakersfield and I work W-2. Okay, well, you could have bought an FHA house hack play at a property that's $250,000 as a duplex or a single family with ADU. There's always a fucking way, and you need to change your mentality from how can I get this done to how much do I need saved, because the money is not the hard part of the fucking deal. Because if I give you $100,000 right now, you wouldn't know what to do with it simply due to the fact that you don't have the skill sets, the experience, the contacts, and the real world knowledge on how to actually replicate that fucking the deal process, right? In regards to acquiring. So to summarize everything in regards to what I spoke about, right? Because I can talk about everything, even more comprehensive. Understand your real costs, not necessarily just the money in and money out, but also what you are missing out on by indulging in the holding costs, the time and energy allocation, and the opportunity cost of the money you're missing out on based off of the hourly rate and or just money monthly that you make from your active income to see if the investment makes sense or how you need to navigate the investment. If you need to go and allocate more money into paying someone that's going to go place a tenant for you, vet the tenant for you, negotiate all the above so you can go and allocate your time, energy, and capital into your active income, which is going to give you a better return alongside the property acquisition, which is allowed to buy your time back. Build the right team based off of hunger and being in a position where they are still on upward trajectory and they don't feel like they've made it. Because if they feel like they made it, they're going to be complacent, they're going to be lazy, and not going to take action. Stabilize before you scale. It is so much better to have one property that is just profitable in the very beginning than two ones that are unstable and you're in a position where all your time and energy and money is being allocated to the property. And then once you get stabilized and you understand the process, you can replicate it in terms of buying back to back if you feel comfortable doing that. In regards to your ability to make that decision to say, hey, you know what, I'm ready, let's run it. Because obviously you're never going to feel comfortable with shit. But in terms of the comfort in your mind to say, fuck it, I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable and let's run it. Nobody cares about your deal as much as you do. Follow up, bug, be on it all the time because the holding costs and the miscellaneous are all coming out of your pocket. And you're obviously going to learn by doing. Do not be studying forever. Do not be wasting time. You need to go and take action with the resources that you have by speaking to the right people that understand what needs to be done tailored to your situation. Because if someone goes and says, hey, you need X amount to go and get started, that isn't a universal scenario based off of one type of deal acquisition, but you may have documentation from your work that allows you to go and qualify for a less down payment, which means that you probably need less money than the amount that the individual told you in the beginning. So you're going to be ready a lot faster than you thought. YouTube videos like this, books, seminars, don't mean shit if you don't do anything with them. Even then, indulging all this fucking information and being in a position where you understand all this hypothetical information at the back of your hand does not mean shit if you don't do anything. Like, I make these videos so I can help you guys go and get off your ass to actually take action, right? With or without our services. So do not be one of those individuals that watches all my fucking videos and does absolutely nothing, because nothing frustrates me more than that, because it means that I'm not doing my job correctly. So appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, DM me or leave a comment below and let's get to it.